Hey y'all, the real Jimmy Roberts one here, and we're here with David Gannett. David, are you with us?
Sure am, Jimmy. Delighted to be here. Good to see you.
Man, it's good to see you too. Dave's been out chasing pigs. That's what I thought. That's a different story.
Whistle pigs, whistle pigs.
Yeah, for another time. Yeah, I believe you. Hey y'all, we decided to hop on here today, and there was going to be some more people in, but being it's a Sunday, there were some things that came up, and it's just the way that it goes. And I tell you what, all of a sudden I'm hearing myself, and I do not know why. Hold on, bear with me.
Sure am, Jimmy. Delighted to be here. Good to see you.
Man, well, that was weird. That was weird. That's never happened. It stopped. Anyway, we wanted to jump on here, and first of all, we wanted to tell everyone before we look at a Mars image that if you don't know it yet, we have MarsFam.net's Mars forum up and running, and you're welcome to go in there and set up an account and start posting. Now, I'm not going to assure you that some things might not go wrong. I'm primarily the one that's putting this design together, and I'm not the best, what you want to call it. What's the word for it, Dave? What's one who?
Webmaster.
Yeah, that. I'm no master of webs, okay, but I know how to do a few things. So we put it together, and our intention on this is to collect people in there that want to talk about this stuff, that are serious about it, and to help us document. Our whole purpose here is not just to bring in more and more people to get you to understand that this is really going on Mars. We want to document the evidence. We don't want to document fuzzy pictures. We want to document the pictures, even with all the obfuscation that's going on. There's mistakes that are made, and we want to document the images that show, hey man, look at this. You know, show this to someone and they say, you know what, I see that, no problem. And there's lots of that in there, Dave.
You know, it's everywhere you look once your eyes are acclimated to what to look for.
That's right. So, you know, get involved with MarsFam.net's Mars Forum, and it's just on the ground floor, and it's going to be hopefully getting pretty big. We really think we can get people in there looking around that are, you know, a true archaeologists, engineers. You know, I have a lot of these type people contact me that don't want people to know what they think they see here. They're like, look, man, I'm a so-and-so engineer, and I'm not going to tell you who I work for, but blah, blah, blah. You know, you got the real deal here, you know, but please don't put my name out there. There's a lot of that. Well, you know, come into here. You don't have to give your real name. And, you know, talk to us. Let's get this stuff documented because it's real, and the world deserves to know. So, with that being said, we are going back today just a little bit, back on Curiosity. I know there's new images out there. I know there's newer Curiosity image and Perseverance, or Percy as Dave affectionately calls it already. And those are great, and we're going to be getting to a lot of that. But we're bypassing some really good evidence. Some of it's been presented and then forgotten. Some of it hasn't been presented. But MGA, did you just really say this looks like Space Ghost Coast to Coast? I loved that show. Do you ever see that, Dave? It's a Space
Yeah.
Ghost Coast to Coast. Man, that was a weird show. That was on the Adult Swim. Hey, Purple Rain in Melbourne, Australia. Australia. Hey, mate, what time is it there? You know, I got to get some time clocks going here because Dave's an hour ahead. I mean, the UK's what, 6 hours ahead, and Australia's like
11. It's
I
either
thought they were
11
like
or 13.
I think they're like 3 days ahead of us in 6 hours or something. It's just really weird, or maybe backwards. I don't know. Alfie's in here from Fort Worth, Texas. At least, hey, we're on the same time zone. But Dave and I wanted to go backwards just a little bit, and we're only going to cover a small portion of these images. It's specifically one thing today that's showing up all the way back on Sol, which means Martian day. Uh, Basically, it's 7/12. Is that what I decided, Dave? I sent him looking on the wrong day.
Yeah, but 7-Eleven
Yeah,
covered now.
sorry about that.
That's
And
okay. Good discipline.
and before I show this, I want to mention that the reason it came back up, there's this guy that we know. We'll just call him Joe, and he's a good guy. He does some good stuff, but he showed this particular part of this image recently, and he sees a dragon head, and it may be, but I don't see it, and we'll see if Dave sees it. But the thing about it is, it really doesn't matter that I don't see that, because what I do see is something extremely artificial, and it looks like very good evidence. And folks, let's just take a look at it. This is going to be Soul 712, and some of these images are already documented on MarsFam.net in the Mars forum. It's one of the few things that we've posted so far, so you can go over there and look at this. Let's pull this up and show you what I'm talking about. Dave, describe what this type image that this is.
Well, this is a mosaic image, which you can typically find in the analyst's notebook, which is a resource I encourage everybody who's interested in stuff to dive into. It looks very complex at first, but it really isn't. And what they will do is they will stitch together the various mass cam or nav cam images and create a mosaic. And generally, it's a bit higher resolution than the individual JPEGs that they put out there. And every now and then, they'll put out as an anaglyph. And if you have your red, blue stereo glasses, you can see it in full 3D, and that's kind of.
Yeah. Ricardo Petrazzi, we need to talk to you, man. I'll get a hold of you. I appreciate what you said over on the Mars forum. That was who said that, wasn't it, Dave? We're talking about the server stuff. I believe that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to holler at you. And I got to tell you, we got folks hopping in from like Faladin 1009 from Nederland. I love it when the Dutch get involved here.
Me too.
There's always Aussies and Dutch in, but I can't figure out how the Aussies are getting in here with this 2-day time difference. It's blowing my mind. Let's zoom in on this. Dave, another thing about these, and you very well know this, when it's a right mast cam, it's going to be much clearer than the left. And as we've told people, it's not because that camera has higher resolution. It's because that left camera takes the wide angle shots normally. So when you start zooming in, you're basically going to start losing stuff. Is that one way to put it?
Yeah, that's about as accurate as you can put it.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is the right mast cam mosaic. And by the way, this is roughly 40 feet from left to right. Now, what, 12 meters? Not that far. It's not that far. And it's about 8 feet difference from where my cursor is to the top. This is about another 10-foot rise is all it is. This is not a gigantic hill. And what we're going to be looking at is this. And, a lot of you have seen this already. And we're bringing this back up because it doesn't need to fall by the wayside. It is obfuscated. There's things that are covered up on it. But there's some shapes here that just cannot be ignored. And there's things you're not seeing yet. I can promise you that. What jumps out at you, Dave, when you first look at this?
Well, my eyes are trained to the non-fractal properties, Jimmy. So the first things that pop out for me, of course, is a large rectangular plate on the right, the strap on top of it that seems to bolt in the center of it, and then just to the left, there's a strap with square, what appear to be bolt heads. And as you go down around the edge, you can see almost what looks like numeral 3, a couple of them, and which could be, depends on how you interpret it. But those are not neutral objects. I would challenge anybody to show me analogs here on Earth that erode in just a way. Good luck. I'll wait.
That's right, Dave. Hey, Noodles is here as always. And Taft Derek Baker, I call him the Moon Man. He sends me a lot of good images. He's here. And Shane Davies says hi from the UK. We were just talking about you guys. I guess it's about after 9 o'clock there. So it is evening after all there. Yeah, Dave. And here's the thing about this image. Those of you, if you've not learned to view X3D, cross-eyed 3D, however you want to put it, or if you know how to do normal stereoscopic left-right imagery viewing with mirrored glasses, or in this case, we've even added some anaglyph, the little colored glasses to the Mars forum. We've started documenting this already there in the forum with the 3D. Now that may be getting moved over to the 3D page, or all that may be getting moved to the Mars forum. We're not sure which way we're going to do that yet, but it is there. And we are going to redo. I'm responsible for redoing the instructional for this and putting the rest of Dave's on there. But the ones that are there already do work if you'll just practice it. But we're going to improve that. But when you look at this in 3D, that's when it really, really jumps out at you.
Yeah, it really pops.
Man, it does. Now, what I have done is, after viewing this in 3D, I have separated some parts of this because I can see what's in front of us, what's closer, foreground, background. I know where it is right now because I have looked at this for hours in 3D. And so let me move forward an image here. Let's see. We have. Okay, well, first, let's get this out of the way. Measurement. We're looking at about 2 feet right across there. That's where I took the measurement, and that's all. So I don't know, Dave, if that's 2 feet, how about how tall would you say that part on the front is?
Oh, going on a foot anyway.
Yeah, something like
Maybe a
that.
little bit more, 14 inches maybe.
Yeah, and through the stereoscopics, we were able to see that this part right here, where you see this angled
Yep,
section, this, it's hard to tell, but it appears to be separated from this portion that's behind it. Now, it may be attached where we can't see it, but it is not a run-on. That is definitely further back, and we're going to show that here. Well, here's Martian Missy, and we got to show you this. This kind of puts it into perspective. She's 5'1.5", and this is what it would look like pretty much if she were standing next to this object. And I still get stuff from people say, no, no way, no way. No, yes, yes. They're not fooling us. They're not trying to fool us on the size of this stuff. They're not worried about that. Where they're fooling us is what this stuff is. And they're fooling us on putting a digital facade through obfuscation on this stuff so we can't tell what it is. So we're looking for,
exactly.
we're looking for mistakes. And most of the time, the basic shape remains. But what happens when the basic shape really, really, really looks artificial, even if you change the skin of it? What do they end up doing, Dave?
Well, the point is that they can obfuscate as much as they want, but it's difficult to hide non-fractal properties, which are
That's right.
mathematical.
That's right.
If non-fractal properties are present, that indicates intelligent agency, period. And so what they will do, um, I've been told by an ex-NASA image analyst, is they take all the different channels. One of the channels, maybe the red channel, they'll go in there and they'll obfuscate on that channel alone. And that's just enough when you recombine it to fuzz out what is actually there without making it really obvious that it's been fuzzed out. So it's they're very smart engineers and processors, image analysts over there, and they know exactly how to fool us poor benighted masses who are paying for all this, and they do a pretty good job at it. However, they still, and you've seen this too, done some really crappy obfuscation with copy and paste, or in the case of 3D, they'll copy and paste on one image, forget to do it on the other. And when you look at it in 3D, you've got this area of sand floating up magically in the middle of the air because they forgot to put the other one on the right parallax
Yeah,
lines.
and that's the reason why a lot of it now, I think, is they've got an automated method that's doing a lot of it, because a lot of it is
Yes.
very perfect. And what is
Yes, it
really
is.
sad is there's a lot of really smart people out there in the world that would see this stuff, except for the fact that they absolutely cannot digest the idea that NASA and the other space agencies or whomever is running this would do this to us, you know?
That's the thing, Jimmy. Individual biases are the most effective obfuscating filter of all, whether it's artifacts on Mars or life in general. People are going to believe and they're going to see what they believe want to see. And there's no convincing them. And until you boil it down to the mathematics and the non-fractals, you can't argue with this. I'm sorry. But you're exactly spot on right with that. Not only is there a concerted to hide things through AI masking and channel tampering, that type of thing, but they also do the typical what we call rockify, where they'll take something that's clearly metallic, clearly mechanical, and they turn it to a rock. They just texture map it.
That's why we say
And
the rockification of Mars.
you got it. Bingo.
Alien Cannibal says, look at the manufactured right angle on the center right. I think he's talking about this.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's probably more. There is more, but I think he's talking about this. And yeah, you're right. That kind of jumps out at you. We're going to take a closer look at that. I wanted to show everyone here where I obtained these measurements from, and it is from the NavCam imagery over at the Analyst Notebook. And that object we're looking at is right here, and that's a measurement across it. You can see that plate-looking thing that's on the right there, and this is where I got the elevation measurement. Here is a profile measurement. It was 8 feet elevation change from here to here, and counting it back to where the rover was back here, it's going to run about 10 feet once again. And that object we're looking at from here that's 11 meters, 36 feet, or 12 yards from the rover. I always like to include the yards because anybody that watches United States football knows the distance of 100 yards, 50, 25, 10. It's just, it's a good reference. That's just all there is to it. Even the cheerleaders, I'm sorry, even they know. So, hey. And another thing, everyone, you need to notice, even if you are not able to measure, look right there. Those rover tracks are about 20 inches, right, Dave? One of the wheels.
Yeah, it would be better if you gave me multiple choice, but
it's 20 inches.
Yeah, you can check on each of the rovers. Will have a different type of wheel that's patterned a certain way for specific reasons.
Right.
And they'll always give you the width of the track.
Right.
Of the individual.
Well, I'll give you a multiple choice of one on this one. It was A is 20 inches, and I have gone through, folks, and I have measured these using their measurement system, and they work out. It works out very well. That's correct. And I'll show you real quick before we get into some really cool stuff on that image. This is kind of a good context view of this area, and this is a mosaic view of one of the nav cams. And, of course, you can see the rover tracks here. And, by the way, those are, I believe, is it 8.9 feet from the outermost to the other? That's what I've measured.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I have measured that. That is pretty. So, if you think 8.9 feet across there, and I'm calling this a 10-foot rise, you can see how that it does work out. Over here to the left, you will see our object, and it was not easy to find. There it is right there. Okay. And it's dark, but you can see this, well, we're going to get into that solid shelving looking piece laying right there. And I want you to notice to the right, we're going to show this in a moment. This is another pretty infamous area right here, and I think a lot of people don't realize that these were right next to each other. So back to this, we're going to get in here and look at this, and I tell you what, let's go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, here we are. We're back to this. Some of the other things that may or may not jump out at you, besides this piece of angle iron here, do you see this right here, this round thing? I was curious that Joe might have saw this as an eyeball back there with an eyebrow over it. I'm not making fun. I'm saying that's kind of what it looks like. I'm not sure. But I want to kind of separate that. Well, let's separate the front of it first. Here's that front section, kind of a simple depth map right here. and you can see even more clearly now this, what we're calling something fabricated right here. Now, the rest of this, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a lot of obfuscation. I think this gray area in here. Don't you think, Dave? It's just they made this really hard to see because it was the closest to us. Quite
Exactly. And
quite
that's
possibly.
why it's always a good idea to pull the shadows back
Yes.
and have a look into them, because you'll immediately see where they've blurred things out.
And so what we did was we blurred that front section, which brings, let's pull it back where you can see again. This section is really kind of the next level back, and there is what appears to me to be an extremely artificially made object right here. Uh,
Yep.
I mean that it's ribbed along here, and I mean I don't know what else. I'd just be guessing, but when you look at this in 3D, it has a horseshoe shape to it. This, it kind of goes up and around right here, kind of like a half of a if you took a pipe and slit it down the middle. This is actually up and over like an upside down U. It's really there, and this gets even a little more amazing here. Dave, do you see this center point here and this?
It sure looks like an axle, doesn't it?
It sure does. It looks like an axle to me. It, the object is here is not round. It looks to be square or diamond shaped because it's going at an angle right there. Can you see that? I've got that brought out more in just a moment, but I want you to notice on top of it, draped up and over it, there's a little insignia or something right here. It's a diamond shape, and it looks like there's two things almost just draped up over the top of it. And then you see something like this, it just, what do you see? Help. I mean, I don't know. It's just,
Well, yeah, look, to me, it looks like a housing for to protect wheel and pulley, or any some machinery to keep people from sticking their fingers in
oh
there.
man, that is very interesting that you would say that. And we did not plan that, but I thank you for that, because over here on this right side, does anybody else see this apparatus right here? And right back here, this looks like a chain. This looks like a drive chain to me back here. See this center point? See these curvatures?
Mhm.
This looks, I'm not saying it is, it looks very mechanical. It looks like a two complete links to a drive chain. Anyone don't know what that is? Like a bicycle chain. It's going to be on sprockets.
Yep,
There may be sprockets right here.
exactly.
And this section, to me, we're going to bring this in tighter in a minute, but to me, it looks like something that would have fit over this, a guard, something to bring it off the gear to switch gears, something, and it looks like it's bent
Yeah,
over to
a
the
derailleur.
a derailleur, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's bring that in a little clear here. I
I really
believe.
like how you're blurring all the layers there. That's very
Yes, I tell
effective.
you what, it really helps me. Oh wait, we're going to come back to that because I had, remember this? What I did here was I didn't just paint over it. That is a contrast enhancement, and Dave knows, and some of you may know, a lot of times when you do that, it kind of gives it a yellow orangey tint, but it really helps you see the definition. And I hope everyone can see right now that we have a upside down U that is hollow. Um, and if anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's going to be like this, like, hey, how would you make the shape, Dave? I should. It's something like this, like a half of a pipe, and it's angled up this way.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can get my hands on the
Yeah,
camera
I
here,
can't
but
either. I'm having trouble
it's
with. Yeah, never
we
mind.
we we should have someone make some CAD
If
CAM
you look
models
at
for us.
this in the stereo imagery, you will really see it, and that's when I realized that this part here is actually uh, hollow. It is kind of looped over the and that area that you said it looked like an axle. We did the same thing to
Mhm.
that right there, and you can really see some definition in there now, some detail.
And I can't help thinking that the large sunlit square bracket in front of it and center point That looks like where the axle may have rested
Yeah, it sure does.
at one time.
Um, oh, I'm sorry. Somebody said something interesting over there. Anyone that doesn't see this, there's kind of a on this piece of whatever it is, I don't know what to call it, apparatus. There is a actually looks like a horseshoe cutout right here. It's about the shape of an upside down horseshoe that does look like an axle could ride in that. But we're just trying to figure out what might be. But there's just no doubt in my mind that this is artificial. Is there in yours, Dave? I mean, is this is
No,
artificial?
not at all. And
Yeah.
for anybody who is thinking we're off in woo-woo land here,
Yeah.
as you train your eyes to notice non-fractals, the easiest way in doing so is to pick out right angle. For example, with that picture, right where it is at the moment, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Well, I can go on. That's how many right angles I see in this image right now. Now that we know that right angles occur naturally, of course they do. But when you have that proliferation, 90-degree angles in such a small area, you better stop and take a closer look because that ain't natural.
Juan Carlos. Now, forgive me, Tialdo. Hi, Dave and Jimmy. Wonderful Sunday with you too. Greetings from Lima, Peru.
Ah, buenas tardes.
Yeah, Buenos Aires. Oh, Dave, I agree with what you're saying, and that's something that people need to remember. I hear it all the time. Right angles don't happen in nature. They can't occur, and it's don't say that. Don't say that. You don't normally see them. Given enough chances, just about any shape can occur. I mean, it's just rare. I mean, but when you find them one after another, after another, after another in an image, something's going on. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're saying there, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And here's another thing that people need to consider, I believe, Jimmy, and that's that this, for example, just may be a corroded machinery, or
Right?
it may be a mechanism that's been rockified. But one of the processes that take place when there's general inundation of the lands, as say Noah's flood type of thing, that happened on Mars, and the ocean sloshed all over the planet before it boiled off into space. And so everything was rolled and buried in mud, and you get what are called mud fossils. And over the millennia, these various mud fossils will erode out of the sediment very slowly, and the shape of what it was will begin to be healed, but it'll still look like mudstone. It'll still look like rock, and it'll look indistinct, and you think, oh, that's not really what I'm seeing. But the fact of the matter is, it's a mud fossil. And so there are any number of ways these anomalies can present to our eyes. And we try to pick through, Jeff, and figure out what they are. You know, it's obfuscation, rockification, mud fossils, corrosion, just straight up rust. And we've seen a lot of that.
That's right. And when
And
and when that occurs in these images, it makes it that much easier to obfuscate the rest of the image. I mean, you
yeah,
just blend it in with that, you just
yeah,
blend it in with it, and people are just looking right past it. Eldon, Fafley, look, Eldon. I know that's not your last name, and I just can't say. Eldon says, look at Egyptian statues; they're narrow and long heads too. Um, yeah, we'll get into that on another one, but yes, I believe in this Egyptian connection. And he says right angles do happen, just not often. You are correct. Look at this, Dave. This section of it, which was towards the front. I forgot to bring that up. I mean, uh, yeah,
that's suspicious as hell. Now, do your eyes and my eyes? We immediately the little flag pops up. Now, for the average person who aren't those and immersed in this day and night like we are, they'll go, "What? What do you see? What are you talking about? It's just
yeah,
a rock, right? Come
yeah,
on."
yes,
And but once you get accustomed to seeing non-fractals, That sucker's flashing a neon sign at you.
That's right. So well, let's see what we're looking for here. I am looking for, yes, I want to go back here. Look at this one
Yeah,
more time.
I love that. Now, somebody tell me how that could erode.
Yeah,
If that was
that's,
eroded out of the rock, why didn't it break off at some point? I mean, come on.
yeah,
How does that happen?
that,
And look at all those little chain links over on the
yeah,
left,
this,
unless
that
those are
just
sprockets.
really looks like a drive chain to me. I deal with them all the time, and that's what it looks like. And we can't see what it
Mm-hmm.
would be connected to, but this does look like splines or something here. That doesn't mean that's what it went to. It doesn't. I think they're going to actually be bigger if you look, but it looks like it's connected to one right here. I mean, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And this mechanism's broken away, and this above it. What do you make of this, Dave? Because the first thing that I see is this has support mechanism under it, like we would call rebar or so on and so forth. This is only a section that is, let's see, the size of this with 2 feet across here. It might be a foot front to back,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
got some type of. Do you see that reinforcement? There's three of them right there, and probably another one right here, Dave.
Mm-hmm. And those actually could be, that thing could have split. Those could be old bolt holes, something for fastening it down.
Yeah,
Or it could be rebar, or it could be. And you look underneath and see that it's almost like you've got a 3/4 view of a room cut away. You've got the right angle wall come down, and the interior uh, slopes away into the darkness, and then down at the lower right, you see the other wall coming straight down at 90 degrees. And
more.
so that basically is a cube, a rectangular cube. Um, it's a hollow of some kind, a pressure plate. Uh, who knows? We're using Earth analogies, and they're probably inaccurate. But uh, regardless, the non-fractal mathematics are there, and form follows function, regardless of what planet are you on. And that is shouting machine to me.
Yes, and now that everyone has seen that kind of isolated, when we bring this in now, I think it just kind of jumps out at you right here that that we have this drive chain looking mechanism back here with this apparatus that would have gone over it, whatever its function was, broken away, bent over. This on the top with, like I say, bolt holes or reinforcement here. And it has been said to me before, well, when you've got things that are construction, you should see other pieces similar to it lying around, and you don't ever see that. Really? They just okay.
Okay,
Let's yeah.
okay, okay. Now they take that bolt. So where your cursor is to the right, that little kind of bolt that's fastening now. Now go to the right of the object. That right, that whole thing there. If you zoom in,
Back here.
come on, yeah, this whole thing there.
Oh, I
Come
know.
on,
Well, look at this. Look at this, y'all. If we want to look for another piece similar to this, what is this?
there it is. And they could
Look at
went all
that.
green on us there,
And it's even
but
got some type of decor or something still on the side of it here. Look at the way this is just kind of, I don't know, beveled.
mm,
There you go with a piece right there. I mean, that's
yeah.
probably, and well, what is this?
And you went all green on us there,
Did I?
Jimmy. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
look at that. Oh, there you fixed it.
okay. Well,
But
I didn't.
yeah, I mean, you just look
There's
around you.
another one. And what is that one? And how
Uh,
about that?
They're all busted up pieces of the
And
same
if you'll
stuff.
and if you'll notice, here's an area right here where they didn't take out the metal, and been my insistence. And right here, you also notice you can see some of the probably the actual skin, the substance of this whatever it is, this plate, and see that these little pieces of
Hmm.
reinforcement steel or whatever sticking out of them. We see this all the time. So when they say, "Oh, that's just nothing but a piece of shell," well, shell, or if this is all I'm showing you, I could say, okay, I don't have much evidence there. It could be a lot of things, but when you piece it together with that and
Yep.
with that
That.
and the other pieces lying around like that, no, it's not. That's not what it is. And it absolutely, it kind of astounds me just a little bit that there's people I show that to and they'll just, well, okay. They'll
Well,
just,
the thing
just
is,
walk off.
you get out in the field. I'm not a professional archaeologist. I've been on three fairly extensive expeditions as a 3D documenter of finds and operations. And but the thing is, these archaeologists will look in the dirt, and you're looking at just rocks and gravel, and say, "Oh, look, a knuckle bone. Oh, look, there's a tooth. That's a bicuspid." Or they'll say, "That's a such and such point from the Neolithic period," and their eyes immediately pick that stuff out. And I would think that any legitimate archaeologist with an open mind, if he looked at the picture you showed us, would instantly pick out all the things that you have and say, you know what, that's those looking machine parts.
Inhabit Mars says there's artificial pieces everywhere just behind the main object or pieces with cube shapes and right angles. You are correct. As a matter of fact, that's why we talked about at the beginning that this area has an extremely large amount of really good evidence. Some as good as this, and we're not going to cover all that today, but some of it has been covered before. But we've got to take another look at it, and we're going to document this stuff. This is the image I was looking for. I knew I had a better one that had this isolated right through here, where you could actually see these pieces wrapping up underneath it a little more, or just a hole. I think you can see the rod going down and under there. I think that's what I see, and I see one nearly at a 90-degree angle here. But what I did, I took this and I actually threw a higher contrast filter on it, and now I think really you're going to have a hard time convincing me that this is not artificial. And you're going to, it might not be a chain back here, but it sure suggests it. And this sure suggests something that's going to be associated with it. You can see, look at the,
Yeah, we're not getting an image of what you're talking
oh,
about.
really? Oh, well, somebody didn't do their job. How about now?
Oh, yeah. Well, clear.
Yeah, somebody didn't do their job. I'm looking in a mirror over here, by the way.
That's no reflection on
Oh,
you.
this is what we're looking at here. I apologize, folks. Uh, with this contrast filter thrown on it, you can really see this rod coming up and over. And
Yep.
there's one here. It's not quite a 90-degree angle. And here, once again, is that possible drive chain right there with this apparatus that looks to me like it would go right over it. But the thing about it is, if that is incorrect, if that is not the case, there's no way that this is not an artificial object. There, look at the, you can even see the little rivets or the little bolts or the little pieces. What would you call that? Where they're, where it would be pieced together mechanically. I mean, everything makes sense to me.
Yeah, it seems to be contiguous with the routine as far as we understand our own mechanical processes. The thing is that the math doesn't lie. We may be 180 degrees out of phase with what we're expecting it is, but the math doesn't lie. This is artificial.
Lane says, it looks like a big wheel in the rock to the left of these parts. To the left of which, I wonder which rock he's talking. I don't know if he's talking about that we saw up there. I'm not really sure, but let's go back and look one more time before we move to that. In fact, one time, let's just go back to the larger one here. Put this back into context. Now, the one thing that looked like a wheel to me and Dave is up here. Some type of, it's nearly round, but it seems to have a center point right here. And I don't know, everything down here just really, really interests me. And I hope now that you can't unsee what you just saw, because it's not isolated now, but now it stands out. And when you look at this in the 3D, it's just absolutely incredible. It's like, it's really wow. And some of these things Dave was talking about here in the background is, I mean, this is stuff that's, it's buried, and it's just kind of sticking through. And you realize they say there's more I don't know if it's true. There's more pyramids buried still in Egypt than are exposed. I don't think the
Yeah,
Sphinx was uncovered till what, the 1800s?
that's right.
It was completely buried, and this thing's just going along getting the stuff on the surface with things that are sticking out, kind of protruding. But oh, good Lord, we've got a production coming up, and we're going to hit the rest of this because there's just stuff everywhere. I want to show one thing though that kind of is going to be involved in that. Many of you have seen this image before, and this comes from um, this was 7-11. This was the day before, and if you remember earlier, I showed you a navcam mosaic where the objects we were looking at was to the left on a hill, 10-foot hill. There was a couple of tracks. It was the rover tracks, and then there was another hill on the right, and up on that hill is where this stuff is. And this guy right here, who is
There he is.
there he is, and you know, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to look at that and they're going to say, "That's a elongated head," because you growling, kind of snarling at us. And yeah, I see that too. Uh, Dave, what you've looked at this in 3D, haven't you?
I have, but as I was digging around on seven for hours, and I don't know why that happened, um, ran across this. And of course, this is a classic find that's been touted as Paracas skull and that type of thing. And so I've recently learned how to develop the .img and data files. And so I want to go back into this and process all of that and work out the 3D and have a good look at it in much higher resolution and see what I come up with.
Yeah, I've looked at it in the 3D, just off
Mm.
what they're calling raw images. We know they're not, but I just kind of lined them up and looked at it. And when I did that, from that, I didn't see no. Right now I'm gonna say no. That's not a head, and why would a head be like that be lying around anyway? But no, it's actually in it. It appears to be a collection of a couple of images. Uh, that upper portion is a little bit detached from that lower, and I think you can tell right here the difference where this is where the separation is right here. But
Yeah, when
yeah.
you look at things and a lot of times this 2D pareidolia just evaporates. You go, oh, wait a minute. That's like several different objects are kind of juxtaposed
Oh, right,
behind
exactly.
each other. And actually, that 4 o'clock position from the so called head right there where your cursor is, that's much more interesting to me. You got a blatant right angle. You've got those three prongs coming in
Oh,
and
here.
extensions. Yeah, that
Oh,
thing.
yes, yes, yes. And I believe, did you cover that in one of your? No, you haven't covered.
No, I
No,
haven't even touched it.
no, no.
Haven't
And
even touched it.
we probably need to do that because this entire image, if you heavy obfuscation on this image, a whole lot.
Yep.
This is an extremely interesting object right here. They're really covering something up with this, but back here you can see a little bit of probably the original uh, object down here where they just didn't quite cover it, whether it was automated or what. And over here is another one that's extremely interesting right here with quite a bit covered up. And look at the design work, the motif action right here of
Hmm.
kind of braids. It's braiding. It looks like to me kind of a braid type decor. And
Yeah.
this has been one of my favorite pieces right here.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
Just sticking right up out of there. And this is one of those images, both of these, where I tell people, I said, there's, it's none of these are rocks. If it looks like one, it's probably been covered up with so much stuff over tens of thousands of years, or it's gotten obfuscated. That's just the way they do it. And to me, it's a fact. This image, Dave, I'm going to go back and show you here for everyone because we will be hitting this again on another episode. That is this area. They have it covered with the nav cam stuff very well. I'm bringing this in, and there it is right there. That is our
Hmm.
supposed elongated head, which I'm saying that's not what it is. Absolutely not. This is that area. And right here is your other object you mentioned that has the right angles. And the ones of interest, such as this one here, You can actually see them quite a bit better here, except they're so far away, and you can tell by the tracks, these aren't very big. This is something that's made not even a foot across right here. But one of the more interesting
Yeah.
things to me is look right here at the top. Another straight piece of, and I don't know what to call this stuff that looks like walls, floors, ceilings, ledges. I mean, whatever's going to have a flat surface with a design around the rim of it that's going to be broken into pieces, and it could be a lot of things.
I kind of lump them all under structural components.
Structural components. When you see objects like this, I don't know what to label that under because it's just so bizarre I can't deal with it. And there's another one here that we're going to end up having to tackle, Dave, because there's about 5 or 6 different angles of this object. Some of them they've really obfuscated it. It's really close, just within feet of the rover. And there's so many angles of it, we could nearly create a three-dimensional figure of it, except for the fact that they've obfuscated it so bad at some of the angles. And
Yeah.
that's something else that we're going to need to look at. We're talking about other episodes from this area, and we're basically talking about this area here to the right, and the day before and the day after, and it's going to be a lot of it's where the rover. See, we're on 7-11, so 12, 13, 14, actually in 7-10 also. But I need you to see not only that. Okay, there's our view that we just showed again. I want to show this, and Dave, this is in that area, and if you know how to do the X3D, cross view 3D, you can look at this right now in 3D, and it's absolutely phenomenal. We don't have this up over on the site. Dave has it on his channel, on one of his videos, and we'll get a link to that put up if it's not already there. But this is phenomenal, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on one side of this because I know you're going to say, well, it's enhanced and so on and so forth. Maybe so, but this is there. This stuff's there. I've looked at this image before. All these mechanical parts to this object back here are amazing, but they look like glyphs that are all over this object right here that's close to us. There's a bunch of that in these images that they did not get out of there. In fact, we're going to have one that I found that almost just looks like English. Once again, it's got the X's, the S's, very similar X's, S's, the backwards L, things like that. It's there too. And this is
You
why
find
people...
a lot of figures, numbers and letters that are repeated and appear to be Arabic numbers and letters. I mean, like, what's that about? But yeah, we see 5s and S's, 2s and 3s, and the L's you mentioned, and many other things that just occur repeatedly. You want green on us again there, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know why it's doing that. Let me ask you this. Am I green now? Am I there?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm
There you
there.
go.
Well, now is the picture there.
Yep, it's good.
Okay. Just want everyone to remember, this is Soul 711 of Curiosity. This is a right mast cam image. And if you know how to do the 3D viewing, the cross view viewing, or if you have mirrored glasses, or even on this one, if you have the anaglyph glasses, the colored glasses, it's actually what, magenta and...
Yeah, we call them red blues.
Yeah, that red blue, we'll call it that. We have that on there, and you need to go over there to the Mars Forum, is where they are now, and look at it. And we've tried to zoom into a few of the spots. I did an all right job on it. Dave does a better job, but we didn't have time to do that this time around. He may get some later, but I think they're good enough for you to see that this is not a figment of our imagination at all. This is...
By the way, the 3D you're doing, Jimmy, is excellent. Nothing wrong with it.
Well, I had a marvelous instructor, and that's all I could say. Well, I might have hurried through it, but you did teach me well, Dave. But you are the master. But folks, we have to keep going back and digging out some of these, and really it's up to us to get this documented, and we will document this one. And this is going to go, pieces of this are going to go in the evidence page on Mars Fam, And our whole idea there is you can take people into marsfam.net, go to where it says the evidence, and go through and show them the pictures. It'll tell where they come from. Now, the reason we don't have direct links to the pictures there, I may go back and add them, but I usually get them from the analyst notebook, and you're not going to get a direct link there. You got to go look for
That's
it.
for sure.
You got to
Yeah.
go to that day. I mean, this is the real deal site, NASA site, geologic site, and they don't just throw pictures up there just for fun. It's the real deal. I could post, the one from the NASA's other site. My problem with that has been that they've broken those links on me more than once, and it
Yep.
makes me mad. I'll have a link to it, and then they change it, and people are telling me it doesn't go there. 404 not found or whatever, and it's, oh God. So,
Yeah, I
but
lost hundreds of images when they changed the format. The
yes,
format was wonderful. It worked really easy and it was quick.
yeah,
And they went and changed it. And like most for updates, it's for the geeks. It's not for the average user.
that's right. But I use the analyst notebook, and there's just not
Me
direct
too.
links to it,
Yeah.
and you can use it too. And if you go to marsfam.net and go to the measurement section, it will, down at the bottom, I've got a link to that site, and I tell you right
Mm.
there how to do this yourself. I show you step by step how to take the measurement, and how to take a profile measurement, which is for height. You've got to understand that. Um, it's a little bit different. There's a little bit more to that.
We may want to remind folks about marlife.org and where you can find all the MSLs and various sols. It takes a while to load, but it's a 360-degree view, and the stereo is included, anaglyph stereo, which you can load. Takes you a little while to figure out how to use it, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what's
You
that called
can
again, Dave? You
it's
bleeped out
called
there.
yeah, it's marslife.org, and they've got perseverance up now, capacity, spirit, and opportunity, all the sols. You go in there and you can sit on the rover and spin your head 360 degrees like Blair and see everything.
Somebody here was informing us that the University of Arizona's got images too. Yeah, a lot of them have them, but I tell you what, I like getting them from the source, and that's why I go to the analyst notebook. That's what they're using,
Mhm.
and that's basically what a lot of these guys are going through, like Neil Spence and them, where they're going to get the PDS data to where they're assembling the gigapans themselves. They're doing the rendering, and man, those guys, I still don't understand
They're
what they're doing,
good.
but
They're
we're
good.
letting them handle it. We'll do this. We'll let them handle it.
Yeah.
And Neil's involved with us here on the Mars Fam.
We need to do a now. My friend Alan Walker over at Mars Second Genesis did a terrific series tutorial videos on how to do that, and he'd asked me not to talk about what happened with his channel. He's going to reveal that when he comes back. But I've been working with him, and now I have learned to do it myself, and it's not hard. And there's no reason we couldn't do a tutorial video. So you can go in the analyst notebook, download the actual data and image files, and get those high res PDSs for themselves instead of those compressed JPEGs. And they nice. They're
Right.
just so much better.
Neil Spence, Neil Spence, Neville Thompson, and Keith
Mhm.
Laney. That's three of them that I've talked. They do a lot of them. I'd say the majority of them, I think, that you see out there that are well done are by those three guys. There may be a few more I should throw in. Is there? Maybe you got another name too.
Yeah, I can't ever
Yeah,
remember them because Neil and Neville keep me so friggin' busy with
yeah,
what their uploads said. I don't have time to catch a breath. I mean, they're putting a dozen a week,
right. And
and
they're getting this data, this planetary data science data. I think that's what that
yep.
stands for. Straight from the site, and that's what we're doing at the
Mhm.
analyst notebook. I still contend this is not raw data. I'm sorry. I think it's already obfuscated and then put in the
Yes,
PDS
it's
form.
already been filtered.
It's got to be. There's been
Yep.
too much tampering with it. You can tell there's just no way that this isn't tampered with. And they know that we know this. They don't care because most people out there don't believe us. So, hey,
That's right.
we're just that's right. We're just going to keep bringing it to you, and we're going to mount the evidence. So, help us, folks. help us. The whole reason that I started MarsFam.net, and then Dave got involved with it, and Neil Spence and Chris Maroney's behind it, is because Google and YouTube, about a year and a half ago, they stopped. Uh, Really, basically, they changed their algorithm and stopped providing our type videos as suggested videos.
They
And that was
turned off the
95%.
faucet.
Right. We just don't get many new people. They didn't demonetize us. And monetization is important because that's normally what helps it propagate. You know, I'm sorry, money just makes the world go around. So if you got advertisers that want to put on there, hey, that's going to help propagate the video, and we wanted people to see them. You know, but then they went and changed the algorithm and basically deadheaded us on that. And very rarely do they share our stuff. It's hard to find through search engines anymore. And a lot of people claim that they're not notified when the videos go up. Now you need to remember.
Exactly.
You need to remember when you subscribe, you got to go up there again and open that up and tell it to notify you, because it's not going to if you don't turn that on, Dave. Isn't that right? I mean, that's usually
And
what's happening.
even if you click I have tons of people saying, "Hey, I never knew this up. I never got an email. I don't know. I didn't know it was there."
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what game they're playing.
I
but
don't know.
it's,
They're definitely playing a game, but they're
Yeah.
still letting us live out there on YouTube. So at least we got that.
Wow.
And so I opened up MarsFam.net to help have another place to go. That it's got the links to the videos that we've created here, of course, and we've got links to Dave and Chris Maroney, because these are two guys that are serious about it, and it's not a bunch of bull. So we want to make it a kind of a center place for people that are serious and not thinking that everything's a little person on Mars and everything's not a temple on Mars.
I like to call it a place where the adults can have a conversation.
Yes, everything. Yeah, it's not. It just really bothers me that, and that's one thing that Simon Dan said that was right. He says every time one of these guys sees something out there, they say it's a ancient temple. He's right. I've heard people say that. What makes you think it would even be a temple? It's a I see things that I believe are destroyed buildings. Why is it a temple? If the earth were destroyed today, you think in 100,000 years, how many temples are you going to find, depending on where you go? You know, you may find some temples, but not necessarily. Most things are not a temple. So I don't know what that mentality is, Dave, but what you want to call it. But we got to get out of that. I think I'm out of it.
Well, yeah, and for the most part too. However, occasionally I will find things which are indicative of a particular story having had a ceremonial purpose of some kind. We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But from Earth-based archaeology, there are certain indicators, and sometimes we see those on some of the links we find on Mars. But yeah, it's way too easy to say, that's a dragon's head, miniature Martian, that's a temple, that's spacecraft. See? It's like, no, please stop.
It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this guy on here, Dave. Some guy named Andrew Hill's on here. He thinks Mount Everest is a building. What is wrong with this guy? See, we don't need that. This guy, we don't need this guy. Mount Everest, get out of here, dude. Mount Everest not a building. But waste my time with that. Anyway, everybody knows what I'm talking about here. It's hilarious. Y'all, we're gonna have to get off of here today. I got some things coming up here. I'm going to get with Dave and Chris Maroney. We're either going to go live with more of this stuff in depth, because there's a lot more in this area, and I want to cover it before I move on. Now, they may move on to some stuff, but I'm going to stay in this area while I'm doing some other things, because this stuff needs to be documented. We've got some absolute, what I believe is inscriptions going on in this area, and we're talking about making a page at marsfam.net that has nothing but our collection of writing. I guess I don't know if I'm going to include motif style stuff in there, but if it looks like glyphs of any type, and we really think that could be what it is, we want to include that. And
we have a lot of plans over there, and your ideas are terrific. And thank you for all the hard work that you've done, Jimmy. And putting together.
Don't stop.
That's non-trivial. That's a lot of work.
It is.
And
it is a lot of work. But
talking about, having entire areas dedicated to certain types of things, whether it's pyramids or glyph or structures or whatever it may be, machines, so that you can go in there and begin to get a feel. You see, we're involved with this for years now on a basis, and we have literally hundreds of images in every genre or classification that you can think of. And so we have that body of knowledge that the average person doesn't have. But when we all together on marsfam.net so that you can page through and see the same things that we have in our heads, it's going to turn on the lights for you. And we're excited about it. It's going to take a while to do. Be patient, but also be part of the action because we need your voice there.
That's right. We need your voice. Come over to marsfam.net and help out. Get in the forum. Okay? We'll answer your questions there. We'll look at what you got. It may not be right away because we got alternate lives too that we got to run, but we will be there. So please do that. And you never know who is going to be in there that's going to see something and is going to say, hey, look, guys, I really think this is a blah, 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 because I'm a ya, 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 ya. And this has happened before. And they may not want their name known, but they may really make us realize, hey, I think he's right. So do yourself a favor, go over there and look at this. And if you want to look up, I'll get a link up to an image somewhere. I'll find one where you can go directly to it and not have to search. But for now, if you want to search for the image itself, it is in Sol, S-O-L 711, 711 of Curiosity.
Not 712.
No, thank you. I sent Dave on a wild goose chase yesterday. Sorry about that. What a difference a day makes, right?
Yep.
Anyway, guys, we got to get out of here today. There's more coming on this, and it won't be long because I've already started putting it together. And again, it'll either be live or it may just be a straight up video. And with my stuff, Dave's, and anything that Chris has, and then I'll link them over to it because they need credit for what they're doing. They're doing a lot of hard work. That's probably the way it's going to come out. So, until then, Dave, anything else you need to say?
No, I got some whistle pigs waiting for
No,
me
thank
in the
God.
backyard.
Thank
I
God.
still got to take care of them.
I'm going to go look that up. Hey, listen, everybody, we got to run, but we will see you again soon. Okay, y'all?
I'll take care.